should definitely sign up for that newsletter. I would say, so Lightning set a new record for the amount of value locked up in payment channels. So in order to use the advantage of Lightning Network, which essentially let you transact Bitcoin more quickly because not every transaction has to go through full blockchain settlement. You can do a bunch of transactions and just kind of settle all of them after the fact. So if you create a channel that allows you to do that, you're gonna put some value into that channel that you're transacting back and forth. So there's a new record for how much value people have locked up in these channels, and we kind of concluded that the reason for that is fairly straightforward, and it might be obvious if you do a little bit of digging. Partially, the price of Bitcoin, maybe not today, and I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but overall this year is trending up. So the value in Bitcoin-based channels is, of course, like the dollar value is going to go up with that. But the other, like, actual technical reason is that LND is now supporting Wumbo Lightning channels.
I Wumbo? You Wumbo?
Yeah, so Wumbo, which is probably not what this, we could do a whole deep dive into Wumbo, but the name Wumbo comes from a SpongeBob episode, which, as an aside, is super, I think, Bitcoiny and cool that they're called. This is like game-changing technology for how the world is going to transact value and therefore everything else. And a significant milestone in that journey is named after a goofy quote from Patrick Star in SpongeBob.
I'm picturing like thousands of years in the future, people using like Wumbo and like having this like Patrick Star, he's gonna live in infamy. If this thing becomes the world currency and everyone uses Lightning and they're all using Wumbo, it's like Patrick Star is now forever living in like the halls of commerce.
This is definitely Patrick's potentially biggest claim to fame, and that's really saying something.
Yeah. Well, so what's also cool about this Wumbo thing is that Wumbo really is a sign. It's like a stamp of approval. It's like we are now agreeing that we can add more capacity to Lightning because this thing works. Like this is originally this was throttled. We didn't want people putting too much of their Bitcoin into these Lightning channels because there could be a bug, there could be a flaw, all sorts of issues could arise. This is brand new technology. So being able to now put a larger capacity in your channels is a statement by the devs, by everyone, saying, look, this thing works. We can take a little bit more risk on the table because so far so good. So it's a really exciting milestone for Lightning. I mean, this is a brand new technology. We love using it in the office. You might be able to use Lightning at Bitcoin 2021 for a lot of different things. So stay on the lookout, but this is definitely one of the most exciting things to keep up with. Go Lightning, go LND, go team. The next big story, which is slightly less exciting, but also incredibly important, is that Bithumb has been ransacked, I guess, or taken over or seized by officials in South Korea.
Yeah, so I feel like the term I was seeing most was raided, which is maybe just a synonym of like ransacked, but as in local authorities stopped by the office and seized material, shut down operations. So Bithumb is the most popular, highest volume cryptocurrency exchange in South Korea. Mm-hmm. And I think that authorities are concerned that they've brokered a token sale that did not deliver the value it promised to investors. I think there's some investor complaints, and so the Bithumb chief at Bithumb is in some legal hot water for that one.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think this comes on the backs, though, of one of the other largest South Korean exchanges. Was it CoinCheck or I don't remember exactly what it was, but this is like the second South Korean exchange, basically in a month, to be raided by South Korean officials. So it's very much, there's some sort of crackdown going on in terms of making sure that all of the legal, loopholes and gray areas are being shored up, which is, I guess a good thing from a perspective of, maintaining legitimacy and not allowing fraud to perpetuate, but definitely a pretty prescient and interesting thing to be happening right now. this is another reason why you shouldn't just go launch your ICO, because it's not a good model to make yourself friendly with those authorities. But needless to say, that's a lot of trading volume that potentially just got totally taken out of the market, at least in the meantime. Who can't use Bithumb until it's back up and running, which it may be back up and running soon. I don't know exactly what the update is there, but it's a really interesting update, by the way. Which brings us, speaking of authorities, speaking of making sure that you're within the legal guidelines.
Your P's and Q's are in order.
Yeah, you've dotted your T's and crossed your I's.
Yeah.
The IRS has come out with some really interesting guidelines around multitasking.
Yes, so I think per an IRS memo, cryptocurrency earned through microtasking does count as taxable income. Without that memo, if I had to guess, I would say, okay, yeah, for sure the IRS is going to want their slice of any pie, including the crypto microtask dollars, crypto turned into dollars and reported on your taxes. But so not a huge surprise, but I do think, in case anyone was hoping that this kind of activity was going to fly under the radar for a little bit longer, the IRS does have an official stance. And I do think crypto and taxes, 90% of it around the world and in the US is just there is no official stance one way or the other. I mean, that's Bitcoin and all regulations, crypto and taxes, so it applies everywhere. So on the one hand, I actually am happy to see clarification come out, because I think that is inevitably something that's going to happen. And while there's this gray area, I don't know if I prefer bad news to no news or not, but
the way I'm thinking about it, though, which is really interesting to me, is that in the world of the black market, let's say, the black market means all sorts of things, but one of the things it means is babysitting and soccer refereeing and tips for restaurant workers and kind of that side of the black market, where there's not a ton of money being exchanged to any one person, and sometimes it doesn't all get claimed. It's just a fact of the matter. I'm not saying that that's what I'm doing, but I'm saying that that's tons of workers are all doing it. Listen, IRS,
not me though.
I'm totally fine, but this is a big issue, and so one of the things, or one of the potential interesting intersections here is that Bitcoin, it's all on the chain, and so it's all provable whether or not you got $6 for babysitting for an hour or anything like that, and technically that's all taxable income.
If you got a fraction of a cent from some sort of micro task.
Exactly, and so on the one hand, this isn't very surprising, but on the other hand, the privacy part of it, the secure, there's a lot of implications of having this public ledger telling you exactly that you got 0.0002 Bitcoin for doing X thing that is now technically taxable income. I mean, it's a different paradigm. So not surprising, but I feel like until we get some more regulatory guidelines helping clarify exactly how this should be taxed, this could mean a lot of headache, a lot of hairy, trying to go through and sort your microtasking issues with IRS. It just seems like it's not going to be fun.
It's definitely, taxes are rarely fun, and in this case, I think it sounds super not fun.
Yeah, I agree. So we've got two more stories to cover.
Okay.
The first big story, which was not that big of a story, but very interesting.
It hits all the buzzwords.
It hits all the buzzwords. This is our buzzword story.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Tesla and Elon Musk?
Yeah.
And ransomware attacks and Bitcoin?
Yeah. Well, this has got it all.
This is the story for you. No, so apparently there was an employee of Tesla who was hit up by some hacker somewhere who basically said, I'll pay you a Bitcoin if you install this malware, this ransomware onto Tesla's system. And you're going to make out like a king. And he was like, I'm going to tell the FBI.
Right. So just to add some buzzword icing to this buzz cake, the guy turns out the person at least arrested by authorities for this is a Russian person. And I think the deal was, I'll give you one Bitcoin up front, and after the fact, I'll also pay you $1 million. I think unclear what the ransomware exactly was, gonna do in Tesla's mainframe there. I'm sure you could figure out a way to make a lot of money from that. But I guess respect on the Tesla employee being, reporting this to his Tesla team, then to federal authorities. But hard to say no to that Bitcoin, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, 1 Bitcoin, that's 1/21 millionth of
Yeah,
all the value in the world. So,
exactly.
that's quite a payment. But
So was this Tesla employee thinking far enough ahead?
long-term thinking, Tesla
man.
guy. No, but seriously, this is not going to be. It's not the first time we've seen something like this. It's definitely not going to be the last time.
So why is Bitcoin kind of like always the preferred medium of exchange for these hackers?
Because you can't just seize the Bitcoin after it's been taken or given or sent. It's free to flow, and so as long as you can figure out a way to avoid these fiat on and off ramps where people will pin down exactly who you are, that's the dream, I think.
But there's more private cryptos out there. If anything, Bitcoin's better than using dollars, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even better than using dollars because
Yeah,
dollars are way
true.
less traceable.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I couldn't tell you why this random Russian dude didn't want to use.
It's because he knew if he offered the world's greatest asset,
Mhm.
they had the best chance of convincing this employee to, risk throwing their entire life away on the scheme.
It's a great point.
That's why.
It's a great point.
That's why they're all using it.
Well, so we got to wrap up by talking about this world's greatest asset transition.
Nice,
And
nice.
it hasn't had the best week. Let's be real. The Bitcoin price is down a little bit.
I like Bitcoin dips. We don't have to dive into that, but I mean, to me, this is not a bad week.
This may be the single greatest stacking opportunity of your lifetime.
Exactly.
Think about it that way.
Right.
Not financial advice. But guys, I mean, Bitcoin's going to go up. Bitcoin's going to go down. If you look back at the last bull cycle, there were multiple times where we saw 25% dips, 50% dips. I mean, it just happens. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And so this one, we went from like 12K down to 10K. So that's, quick math, like somewhere around a 20% dip, right? Guys, dig deep. Feel it in your gut that you've got some courage here. Stack that dip. Fear not. Bitcoin is here for you. Bitcoin will lead us to prosperity. We are part of the cult of Bitcoin, the death cult, as that one writer said that one time. But guys, the Bitcoin's going to be okay. Don't worry. Relax. It's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Go outside. Enjoy the weather.
Stack the dip. I mean, I
Stack
think we're
the dip.
preaching to the choir. I hope not too many listeners out there are like worried about Bitcoin. But this is actually, I like to think of it as a nice opportunity to strengthen your position a little bit.
Absolutely. And,
But I don't think I'm allowed to give it financial advice.
not financial advice. These are all memes we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy the weekend. We're signing off here. Happy Labor Day. Cheers, guys.